Hey boyos, Daily Check-in with John Vee, Christmas edition. It is December 12th, 2025. I know it's a little early for Christmas. You miring the beard trim I had today? Hardly looks like it was done, but it does look better than it was. It was getting quite ratty. I let it go for more than 2 months. As you can see, my face is really beat the fuck up. All kinds of little scabs and sores and fucking shit all over my face. That's what happens when you rot. You start looking like fucking garbage. But I don't think the daily check-in's going to be very long today. But yeah, I keep getting banned from everywhere I go online. Facebook group I'm in for Magic Arena. Apparently the mods muted me, and I don't know why. Just everybody needed somebody to pick on, and everybody seemed to be bullying me and picking on me. I'd make a post trying to make conversation, and I'd get flamed like 100 comments from other members just flaming me and trolling me and bringing me down. And, I think the mods muted me because I make a post now and it doesn't post to the page. It says it's pending mod approval, which is bullshit. Fuck them. Everywhere I go on the net, on the web, seems like I get banned. I don't understand why. I'll accept it as I'm just popular and, jealousy. People can't handle it, right? I still get invited to Discords from the Looks Maxing forum. Members will invite me to the Discord because the members there, they make a new Discord every few days, and then somebody will invite me, can send me an invite link, and I'll join it and talk to some of the members, and they all remember me. I'm a legend, right? They all have fucking saved pictures and shit of me, right? Flexing with my shirt off and stuff when I was lifting. And, you know, at least I matter to somebody, right? At least I'm remembered. I don't want to be some fucking coon that fucking just blends into the background because he's black, right? So, but yeah, I have been on the misc a little bit with my alt account. I'm not going to reveal what my alt's name is, but I was on the misc the other day briefly, just checking to see if there's anything new, and looks like Get Her Done is gone. That's good night, sweet misc. Misc is done for. Because Get Her Done was basically the backbone of that whole fucking forum. And he's gone. Car Salesman Bra is gone. I'm gone. I don't know who else, but, I'd be there if I could be with my main account, but, I got banned by fucking fagmen, you know, and I'm convinced it's because I don't have a platinum membership. And I will be going on about this for years from now because I was a member of the MISC for over 20 years. 20 years. Over 20 years. Since I was 18. I was on the MISC for 23 years, right? And to be banned after that much time, I mean, it's technically not the MISC anymore. It's under some cuckold's fucking administration, right? So, it's his rules now, and if he doesn't like me, he can ban me, right? And that's what happened. He just didn't. He had it in for me for some reason, right? When the MISC was OG, and you had like 1,000 new threads an hour every hour, you know, I could make a name for myself and not get targeted by the administrator because there's so many members, you don't really stand out, right? I remember there was epic posts made by a lot of members there. There was one guy, he would do these epic edits of photos and like edit things in and stuff, and it was so fucking amazing. And we lost all those good people. We were left with the fucking schizophrenics and bipolars and all that, and the autists, right? Misk ain't what it's used to be, and it never will be again. Misk is gone, Misk is dead. But yeah, I've been just rotting. As you see, my appearance sucks. I'm not really gaining much weight. I haven't weighed myself, but I haven't really been putting weight on. But you can tell by my appearance that I don't exercise enough. I don't eat a healthy diet. I don't get enough sun. All those things are factors. I smoke way too much. I drink here and there, and I shouldn't. I don't eat fruits and vegetables as much as I should. actually quite rare these days. And yeah, I don't lift weights, I don't do cardio, I don't exercise or work out at all now. But the day will come when it'll just be enough and it is enough. A change needs to be made, and then I'll flip my life around, hopefully. You know, I've known so many people, like, they'll be over 300 pounds and they'll say, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight. And they don't. They lose 50 pounds and then they stop. And they think that the weight that they're at, 240, 250 pounds, is a normal size, and it's not. 240, 250 pounds is fucking enormous. That's like bloat lord territory. That's fucking horrendous. But, it's better than they were, right? I want to be a normal size. I want to be like 170 pounds, 6 feet tall. That's a normal size, you know. And I want to lift weights and do cardio and be lean and muscular, putting up, 225 on the bench, deadlifting 405 for a couple reps, and, benching 225 for a few reps, and being able to bang out 20 pull ups. Those are my goals. Being able to do like 2.5 plates, 275 on squat for a few reps, and I don't want to be really big and fat and ugly with no abs. All right. Mark Ripto, he'll always say abs are just in fashion, but it's not healthy. But nobody wants to be big and fat, right? And if you're natty, you're not going to be 250 pounds, ripped, 10% body fat. All the guys I've known in real life who claim to be over 200 pounds at some point with ripped abs and veins and all this shit, they're not. I'll see pictures of them when they were over 200 pounds and they're fat. They're just fat. Like one guy I know, he claimed when he was working out he was 210, 6 feet tall, 10% body fat, he claimed. Yet he was only lifting like 225 bench for reps, 315 squat for reps, and his deadlift was less than his squat. And I'm like, well, with those stats for your body weight and body fat, you should be putting up a lot more weight than that. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I seen pictures of him, and he's not obese, but he's fat. And that's typically the case of people I know in real life. They'll make claims of when they were so big and muscular, and they're not. They're just fat, right? A 225 bench for reps is somebody my height being 175 pounds, right? Um, Likely, if I was 160, my one rep max would probably be around 250, right? At most for bench press after training it for a while. When I weighed 175, my one rep max for deadlift was 440, which is apparently a really good deadlift, right? So, you know, having a 260 max bench at a body weight of 175 and a squat of like max squat of like, I don't know, 350, and then a max deadlift of like 440. Like, those are good numbers for somebody who's 6 feet tall, 175 pounds, right? And with somebody who claims to be lower body fat than that and 50 pounds heavier, doing the same amount of reps with the same amount of weight as I was, 50 pounds lighter at a higher body fat, it's like, no, you weren't 10% body fat. You were like, 30. You were obese, on the line of being obese, right? But I'm rambling a lot about lifting, and I don't even lift anymore. But you know, the whole alpha male mindset. These people who think they're an alpha male, they get it all wrong, because they think being an alpha male means talking shit and making up stories about themselves and telling lies, and not being prompt and on time, because they have to give the illusion that they have a busy life, so they show up 20 minutes late every time they have something they have to do. And that's not me at all. I'm very honest. I don't make up stories. I don't exaggerate. I don't tell lies. I'm reliable. I show up on time, right? Those are all admirable qualities. And in my opinion, I'm more of an alpha male than them. They're they may be an alpha male, but they're like stuck at 15-year-old alpha male status, right? They're not an adult yet. They haven't matured. And I've known so many guys like that, and that's part of the reason why I've lost all my friends, because they're full of shit. They're losers that have to make up stories about themselves to make themselves sound big or important, and it's just a bunch of BS. I always tell the truth about how much I was lifting in my prime when I lifted and stuff. My most impressive physique ever probably was when I went to the arm wrestling competition 13 years ago. I weighed 176, and my body fat, I'm not sure what my body fat percentage was, but it's probably about 16%, and I'm 6 feet tall. I was benching 225, and my maximum of reps I think I got was 7, which is pretty solid. That's respectable. And my max deadlift was 420 for 1 rep. I wasn't training squat because I didn't care about having huge legs, but I wanted a big deadlift because deadlift's important to me. And my max overhead press at that time was 195 for a single, which that's still nothing amazing compared to the bench that I was putting up. That's on par with my bench. Like 7 reps of 225 on bench, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 17.5 pounds, 35, 40. That's like a 265 max, right? 265 max. And having a 265 max bench and a 195 max overhead press, that's roughly where they should be in relation to each other. The overhead press is a little stronger than the bench, but they're pretty close, right? And I was banging out at that time like 20 pull-ups in a set. I was bent rowing quite a bit of weight. I was doing like 250, 260 for like 4 or 5 reps. And my bicep curl was really good. I was doing with a one arm dumbbell curl just to focus on one arm at a time, not alternating or anything. I could do like a 65-pound dumbbell, like 1 or 2 cheat reps, you know, nothing crazy. And that was my most impressive physique. 176, 16% body fat, right? So, and I was lifting, almost every day for 45 minutes to an hour at a time. And I was working a full time job stocking shelves at Walmart, you know. So these guys that are natty, that claim to be 210 pounds, 10% body fat, like, no, you're not. I see it all the time. People I know, and they'll brag and gloat, and it's always a fallacy, you know, something that's false, and it just pisses me off. So, generally in real life, aside from the internet, I won't talk about lifting because it just pisses me off. Because everyone you talk to, they make up stories about themselves, right? And even someone I know, a woman, she claimed that when she was lifting, she was really thin, and she claimed she was squatting almost 300 pounds for reps, and I'm just like, I don't think you were weighing like 120 at 5'6" or whatever you are, squatting almost 300 pounds. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. No. And that's the thing. Everybody I know that lifts, they make up stories about themselves. So I avoid talking to people in my real life at all about anything. You learn to put people in their place. And that means ignore people. Don't respond to them. Don't speak to them. Put them in their place. You know, remind them of their role, whatever that may be. Some people are all about, you gotta have friends, you gotta talk to people, you gotta meet people. That's bullshit. You don't have to. Put people in their place. Just because you're at a social event doesn't mean you have to talk to people. You can sit there and not talk to anyone. you know. If they're needed, you'll let them know, right? And if you want to talk to people, fine. But, if you're like me, I open my mouth and speak to people. They just throw it back at me with my words, and they tease me with my words that I've already spoken to them, and it just pisses me off. So, I just don't bother speaking to people. Uh, I speak to my nephews, and that's about it. I hardly speak to my family. I'll speak to my mother, and she does that. She'll throw my words back at me and tease me with them and stuff, and it just pisses me off, right? And some of my other family members do the same thing. And the friends that I had, they always did that, and I just learned over time, don't speak to them, because they'll just tease you, right? Even complete strangers, like, will do that too, but it's people that you know well that seem to do it worse than complete strangers. But I'll stop rambling about that. I said this video wasn't going to be long, and it is. Um, the day will come soon. I'll get my life on track and decide, I want to make a change, and I'll lose all the weight, get in good shape. Nothing incredible, right? But I want to be ripped. I want to be ripped, and I want to be lean. I want to be like, 12% body fat would be reasonable, and really lean and ripped, and I want to be about 160, 165 at 6 feet tall, and it shouldn't be hard to maintain a physique like that at that size, right? And if I'm putting up 225 for a couple reps and be able to deadlift 405 for a couple reps, I'm happy, right? And I will squat again, and it's just squat won't be my focus. I'll just throw in a squat day a week as an afterthought and do a few sloppy sets, and that'll be it. The main focus will be, you know, upper body, like shoulders, chest, arms. That'll be the primary focus. Not even back, not even abs, not even legs. Just shoulders, chest, and arms will be the primary focus, right? I'll be training probably biceps twice a week, shoulders twice a week, chest twice a week, and back and legs each once a week. Because, I want to be all show, no go. I don't want to have a working man's physique. I want to have a show physique, and I want to be really lean. And despite being really lean and thin, I want to actually fill out a shirt somewhat and have, good sized shoulders, chest, and arms to fill out a shirt. I won't care about the back or the legs that much, right? No guys really care about having huge muscular legs. Like, it just throws off the aesthetic appeal of a physique, right? Right, and all these all these pro lifters I've seen with huge lower bodies compared to their upper bodies, they always look ridiculous. You want a physique like Frank Zane or even Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? But you take somebody like Tom Platz, it just looks ridiculous. It looks fucking ridiculous, right? It doesn't look aesthetically appealing at all, right? And you could say, well, that's cope, blah blah blah. But there was a time I squatted 3 times a week and was busting out of my fucking pants because my upper legs were getting so fucking big, and I didn't like it. I'd rather have a huge muscular, chest, shoulders, and arms, and mediocre back and legs, right? But I'm rambling. It's been almost 20 minutes, right? Um, I do appreciate the fan base I have. People do watch my videos and cheer me on and welcome me to Discord groups, right? I appreciate it. Um, Life is pretty good for me right now. Oh, I got a bing. That was from Facebook. Give me a second. Let me check that. It's probably the same BS. Nope, Hero Wars. Game that I play, just notifying me of something that I don't really care about. But yeah, life's pretty good. I spend my days just sleeping, eating, smoking, playing Magic Arena, watching videos, and that's pretty much it. It's a very simple life. Keep my life simple, stress free, responsibility free, My responsibilities are pay my rent. And that's not even really a big of a deal because if I stopped paying rent to my sister, she probably wouldn't even care that much, right? Because, like she said, your family. Family's different. You got some complete stranger in your house, you want them to pay your rent. But family's different, right? You can rely on family. That's one thing I've learned in recent years is you can rely on your family. You can't rely on the people who call you their friend. You can't rely on those people. And you really have to look out for the people that are your friends that consider you family. If they say shit like you're family to me, those are the people who will be the first to let you down. Right? That's what I have learned. Because they try to take the friendship to a higher level that it doesn't need to go to, and it just sets the expectations too high that can't be lived up to. And it just destroys the friendship. And one of my friends, he always said, "You're like family. You're family to me, blah, blah, blah. You're a brother to me, blah, blah, blah." And he said that for years, and the friendship fell apart. And that was actually one of the first friendships I had fall apart. And no, you know, I've learned I don't need friends. And my family's always been there for me. Friends have not, right? So I know who I can rely on, and I rely on my family. Friends come and go, and you know, and complete strangers will tease me and pick on me, and even my friends used to tease me and pick on me, and it's a pain in the ass. It's the way it is. Part of it's because of the way I look, because of how fat and ugly I am, and I don't know what it is, but for some reason people would single me out and try to bring me down, and I don't understand why. But it is what it is. But I think that's a long enough video. But I've got about 100 of these suckers. Card sleeves for Magic the Gathering, for sleeving your cards. Got about 100 boxes of those. The game store sells them $20 a box. I get them for almost nothing. And I'm hoping to sell them all soon, but I had a I had a deal kind of fall through with one of the card shops. He tried to say they were counterfeit, and I'm like, no, they're not counterfeit, right? They have the where they came from right on the box, and you know. But yeah, I'll cut the video off there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.